Welcome back to Diary of a Speed Reader. Today's book is In Search of Wisdom by Matthieu, RICARD, Christophe André, and Alexandre, Jollien, and I'm giving it 4 stars. Now, this book is wonderful for people that are a little bit more advanced or feel that a lot of the other books on meditation don't quite have enough meat to them. You've got 3 people writing together on this book. One that is of the Christian faith, one that is a Buddhist monk, and one that's a psychiatrist philosopher. And seeing the 3 of them come to a single sort of common voice is so enlightening. There are a lot of takeaways, but I'm going to try to break it down to 3. But before we do that, I want to remind you, I've started a YouTube channel for Diary of the Speed Reader so that when I'm done with the 100 days, that is most likely where I'll post. It would be amazing if you can look for it in my bio or just go to YouTube and put in Diary of a Speed Reader and I should come up. Comment below if you can't find it, but it'd mean a lot to me if you've enjoyed this and you want to continue listening. Now, let's get into this wonderful book. Now, one of the really great things has to do with the way that this book treats the concept of the ego. So often there's a focus on the id and who we are and self-identification. But in this book, they're talking about this beautiful example of when a monk is slapping another monk in the face and someone is so shocked. They're like, what is that all about? But what they realize is that the initial pain was not even really that big of a deal. So is it anger at the intent? But even then, that's not that big of a deal. The realization is that your ego has the ability to extend that pain over a much longer period of time. And that's what we're trying to work with as relates to sublimation of the ego, whether it's meditation, Christianity, some other faith, or even in philosophy. Definitely not to minimize. They talk about this because they're saying it's really hard to do this, and that getting to a point where you can, that might take a lifetime. That's what these 3 different disciplines are kind of about. Now, the second is their particular take on emotional control. And a lot of times we're just thinking about one specific emotion and trying to keep it and hold it in. And they're like, not exactly. You see, you must delight and love every single emotion you have, even the negative ones, because they're trying to tell you something. Now, how you choose to express that emotion, that's the tough part, and you're not going to be able to do it if you're just negating the negative emotions, if you're refusing to experience the negative emotions. And the book goes on in this regard, and it's really advanced and quite fascinating. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely this book. Now, the last thing really has to do with this book's take on empathy. The context is compassion, and they talk about 2 types of empathy. The first is affective empathy, the second is cognitive. In the first, you literally take on the pain, frustration, and fear of others so that you can understand the intensity, the magnitude, and where it's coming from. And that can be amazing if you can handle that. If you can't, that's what you got to work towards. The second is a cognitive form of empathy. It's where you can understand very well the direction and the fear, but you're not affected by it and you're more able to help. Both actually in some degree can be helpful and wonderful, and they're both an acquired skill, but I just find the way this book lays it out to be fantastic. Now, I took off a star because I do think it's kind of advanced. If you're just getting into meditation and kind of these ideas of wisdom, what is wisdom, then I think, you just have to be in the right mindset to take it all in. But if you are already in that mindset or you want to be a little bit challenged, I think this book is fantastic to have 3 people from 3 different areas talk to each other in a way that's not in conflict but in union. Is just a blessing. It's so wonderful. Speed reading stats, this book is 336 pages. It took me 68 minutes to read it. I want to thank the New York Public Library for having a great selection of books on their e-reader format. I am hanging out in Mumbai and it makes me feel a little less homesick that I can just go on to the New York Public Library website and get a book. Thank you for liking, sharing, or otherwise supporting my efforts in Diary of a Speed Reader. I will see you tomorrow.